I'm doing something weird for this one. Lots of the stuff I talk about in this video is very run specific, and I don't have footage of all of it because that have required me to record hundreds of hours of gameplay effectively, so instead, whenever I'm talking about something I don't have gameplay of, I'll instead cut to Nobby. For context, this is Nobby. And now on with the video. Mugenics has problems, big problems, and it is also something I cannot pry myself away from. It is simultaneously the best and worst thing that has happened to me in 2026. It is the summation of what makes a McMillan game a McMillan game. It took me a while to comprehend why Isaac has so much longevity compared to other roguelites, but it eventually dawned on me what the secret sauce was. The thing that makes Isaac, and by extension Mugenics, so enduring. The best way to explain this is Waffles. I'm introducing you to Waffles because Waffles embodies a lot of what makes Mugenics so special. So normally kittens at your home base aren't able to go on adventures. They have to be at least 2 years old, but Waffles was transformed into a kitten on an adventure via a fountain of youth, meaning when she returned home she wasn't technically retired. Cats usually can only go on one adventure before they're done for good. So I was able to bring them on a run a second time. Already we have very strange circumstances going on. Either way, I tried to do a one-cat run this time around with Waffles because you can take less cats on an adventure if you really want to. They level up faster this way. She had a really good multi-target attack that came with a severe downside. It made her psychotic and uncontrollable after turn 1, which was really inconvenient because I also had an exact copy of her as an AI companion that I'd met on my travels. So effectively, it was a run where I had to constantly flee from an evil twin, even though it was supposed to be a solo run in the first place, even though I shouldn't have been able to bring this cat on an adventure in the first place. The secret sauce I was referring to is parameters. As in, there's so many different dials that can be turned and twisted that runs begin to organically spawn situations you've never seen before on the regular. It's not enough that the rooms Isaac navigates are different each time, there's also curses, area variants, enemy variants, mini-bosses and variants of those mini-bosses. You get the idea. What I described just now might sound like the framework for any roguelite. It needs to be different each time, but really, it isn't. There are games in this genre I love that don't feel all too different from run to run, and a lot of that is due to there just not being a lot of parameters. RoboQuest is great, but you're always going to be in that desert. Things are always going to feel relatively the same. Great game, by the way. Play RoboQuest. But something interesting starts to happen when you add a ton of parameters. Things get really sandboxy. Like I had a situation where I used an item so a cat could deal more damage in exchange for being controlled, so I had my tank throw it to where the enemies are and it would just make work of them. Clearly this bottomless nature and intrigue is what Edmund was striving to capture with Mugenics. We've barely scratched the surface so far, but I have been singing the game's praises up to this point. I'm not gonna lie to you though, I was not huge on this thing at the start. During my first handful of hours with Mugenics, I was bored to tears. I equated this to the video game version of NyQuil. It seemed like a bog-standard tactics game with Newgrounds aesthetics, just bland. What motivated me though, and drove me to dig deeper, was the sheer confidence Edmund had in this project. Without flinching, he'd say this was the best game he'd ever made, and with how easy it is to begin hating something you're slaving away on for more than a decade, I was impressed at that statement. I believed in the Edmund that believed in himself, so I poured dozens more hours into the game, hoping to see what he saw, and I am so glad that I did.
Skeletons are singing a supernatural song, and there's a rotten smell of death, of sour sardine breath. Something very fishy's going on at the cemetery. All the corpses are around. You shan't forget your favorite pet, 'cause in the boneyard
So based on what I've said so far, you might have inferred some of what I'm about to say, but briefly for the few that don't know how Mugenics is roughly structured, you have a house where you can store cats before they set out on adventures. Each has different passives, basic attacks, etc. On occasion, 2 of them will do the do. This will birth kittens that sometimes inherit stats among other things from their parents. You'll need to do this often, by the way, because this isn't Darkest Dungeon. Cats can only go on 1 adventure before they've had enough, meaning you'll have to channel your inner Discord and get familiar with kittens.
Ugh.
Just so you know, there is an option in the settings to turn that off.
None of this would matter if the combat wasn't fun, and it absolutely is. If you're versed with XCOM, you'll find a lot of this familiar. Cats move on a gridded floor in a turn-based system using basic and special attacks to defeat enemies in small, contained combat encounters. Provided things drag on too long, exhaustion sets in, preventing health regeneration for your party. There's a fair amount of variety amongst your cats already, but in addition to how cats naturally spawn, there are class collars that greatly modify stats and overhaul which abilities you can choose. You've got your standards like your Thief and Tank, which are fun to play for sure, but you also have your standouts like the Tinkerer, who can deal good AoE damage in exchange for damaging himself. On top of the classes, you have equipment for each cat, which can be found in the field or taken from storage at home, though these items have a finite number of uses. Don't get too attached to any of them. In addition to class-specific passives, there are disabilities which can radically change how you'll need to approach combat. I had a Thief with Insomnia, which meant that exhaustion kicked in sooner, but he was able to move an extra time each turn. Making him perfect for clearing out enemies quickly, but somewhat weak in longer battles, such as boss fights. Bosses in Mugenics are fun invitations to solve a unique problem in multiple ways. Fenrir might hide behind grass in his boss fight, making him difficult to hit, but a well-placed burn spell will make quick work of any grass tile. If none of your cats possess such a spell, you can inflict Marked, so that hits always connect, negating the dodge chance in the first place. These situations are more straightforward examples, but sometimes the answers you make for yourself to defeat these bosses are never what you envision them to be, and when they come together in a way you couldn't possibly have predicted, it shines a giant light on what makes this game truly special. Edmund is famously a big Magic the Gathering / tabletop guy, and that's on clear display here. Due to the sandbox-ish nature of the game, it really does kind of feel like it has the vast freedom of a D&D-like setting where anything can happen. And a good reminder of that is the quest items. The quest items in this game are basically entirely new game modes. One might put glass everywhere, making every unit that isn't flying bleed, and another might make a single cat perpetually targeted by enemies in addition to just making everything harder in general. Pro tip for some of the longer fights, damage over time stuff like bleed and poison are your friend. Especially bleed, which gets more powerful on its own the longer it's inflicted on a target. Doing this is optional, but so is bathing, so be sure to look after yourself and your cats. If you're not careful, entire family bloodlines can go extinct, preventing good traits from being passed on to future generations. I have a whole bloodline of cats with a mutation that lets them spawn flies sometimes, so I'm taking extra care to make sure that there's always some cat with that trait around so that that doesn't completely disappear. Your main form of meta progression though is going to come in buying furniture for your house so that you have a better breeding ground for your kidders. If you want more rooms for your house so that it's easier to keep things under control and keep your cats sane, which does have a huge impact on things, you can donate cats to Frank or a number of other NPCs for different benefits like being able to keep more items between runs. Visually, Mugenics is a delight, though I recommend turning off the grain and film filters as they really just get in the way of the illustrations. Can you believe that this game was going to be all black and white at one point? I've always been a sucker for black and white settings that give one thing color, like it just really makes it stand out. It's used to great effect all throughout the campaign. The way I look at it, Edmund's more simple art style has always been a fun excuse to get away with depicting more grotesque things. It was obvious in Isaac and Meat Boy, and it's obvious here. And in an era where remakes are constantly filing off their rougher edges for fear of frustrating people, I'm glad that a game more brave in its humor exists in 2026. Though I'll never find Poop as funny or fascinating as Ed himself. Save for Meat Boy, I'm not sure McMillan has ever made a character that isn't a circle, but still his art style has only gotten better in recent years. There's a more professional and sleek finish to the cutscenes this time around than Super Meat Boy's. Some of them even depict your cats items and all, which is pretty impressive. The art style is also just more consistent, unlike the Binding of Isaac cutscenes. The lighting used vignette and gradient to great effect while still meshing with the simplicity that Edmund's known for. This art style has always had a distinctive identity, but it's Mugenics music that will steal the show for some. It's hard to quantify its musical identity to one word, but all of it feels like it's from a bygone black and white era, long before any of our parents were born. Like the battles themselves, the music is reactive, with lyrics only kicking in on the major boss fights. And there's something oddly cathartic about not realizing the entire song until you're face to face with the last boss in a run, which was a cool enough design choice that I sometimes forgot about the baffling design decisions Mugenics occasionally presented me with. Quality of life wise, this game has a ways to go. There is no button that lets you automatically highlight every recruitable cat at your house, no button to have every enemy range available at a glance a la Fire Emblem, but the biggest issues stem from ability descriptions not being clear enough. Things like range, whether something lobs or needs line of sight, among countless other things, can be completely omitted from skill descriptions. Like, why does the thief's shadow ability not let you teleport behind bigger units? I don't know, but I didn't find out until a moment where it was really inconvenient for the battle at hand. No doubt there will be mods that are to this what the item descriptions mod is to Isaac, but with years of development time under this game's belt, it's confusing to see such basic things not present in the final game. Some of the stuff Mugenics doesn't tell you is awesome, like discovering fire spreading from wind for the first time, or realizing that trample and thorns make a great combination. Obviously, the game should not tell you everything, as discovering the twisted synergies and sheer reactivity of the battlefield is a big part of the fun. But that's not the stuff I'm talking about. Ed has posted to Twitter asking what everyone's biggest QOL requests are from Mugenics, so no doubt some of the stuff I've mentioned here will be fixed in coming updates. But that doesn't change the fact that for now, there's some needless frustration here. Mugenics has issues, no doubt, but it is undeniably a decade-plus culmination of love and labor from Mr. McMillan. Considering Isaac was more or less a warm-up to Mugenics that got out of hand, it's no wonder that Ed wears this new game so proudly. When you have a resume with both Meat Boy and Isaac on it, you can have a real fear that you'll never be able to top yourself again, but to many, I think this will be their favorite McMillan game. As for me, it's too recent to tell, but I wouldn't be surprised if a month from now I proudly proclaim this as my favorite McMillan game. If you like his work, I have videos on Isaac and Meat Boy, which you can find here. I know you hear this everywhere, but it's very true. Subscribing really does help the channel. I'll have more Mugenics videos on the way as updates come out. I also cover RPG Maker games and just any indie game I feel like talking about, really. Thanks to the patrons, including Mike, Melody, Nate the Great 228, Plural, Neuronir, Shizu, Stalking, Hidden, Alley, Alex, Flacco, Amber Beanbag. Become a patron for early access to videos, among other benefits, like seeing my cat. Join the Discord server, follow me on X, all that crap, and I'll be playing Mugenics. Booba.